All right, greetings, good morning, and welcome everyone to Mind the Moment. This, my friends, is our coffee house in the cloud, a place for us to build community, get centered, feel connected, and shine a light on some of the many wonderful mindfulness instructors that New England has to offer. So it's Tuesday, May 26, 2020. I hope everyone joining us had a riveting and revitalizing Memorial Day weekend. Today is Sally Ride Day, a day when we are given the opportunity to celebrate Sally Ride, the first American woman to enter space in 1983, and also, incidentally, the only LGBTQ identified astronaut. After that first trip to space, Ride stated in a magazine interview, "When you can feel that close to something that you're used to seeing from a great distance, well, it changes a person." This seems to me to be a wonderful way, too, to think of mindfulness practice as a way of bringing things that once may have seemed distant and strange, be those things our own habits and patterns, a sense of our own bodies and minds, or a connection to other people, bringing those things a little bit closer in hopes of becoming a little bit changed by them. I'm John Roberts from Harvard Pilgrim Health Care's mindfulness program, and I'm delighted to be minding the moment once again with Shanti Douglas, the founder of 8 Limbs Holistic Health in Concord, New Hampshire, and author of Everyday Ease, Mindfully Moving from Burnout to Balance. Good morning, Shanti.
Good morning, John. I'm really happy to be here. Welcome, everyone.
So in just a moment, I will hand things over to Shanti to lead us in a 10-minute guided meditation, after which we're going to respond to a viewer question that passed through our inbox, after which we'll open up the floor to questions from you folks watching at home. And then we'll wrap things up just before 9 a.m. Now, you may have noticed at the bottom of your screen an option to open up a chat box at any point. Please do so. Use that chat box to type in whatever questions or comments might come to mind. Shanti, is there anything you'd like to ask the folks to comment on as we get started?
Yeah, I know our theme today is going to be resilience, and I'd love to hear from people when I say that word resilience, what comes up for you? Maybe just 1 or 2 identifying words for yourself, maybe how it appears, how it shows, even colors, shapes, even a scenery, anything like that.
All right. So it looks like we have a pretty large group of people practicing with us this morning. It's great to be with you all today. Please keep in mind that only Shanti and I will be able to see what you type. And if we don't read any of your particular question or comment on the air, please know that we do read and appreciate them all. And before we close, I will point you towards some other ways that you can get in touch with us as well. All right. So here's just a few words coming in. Bounce, springtime, gem, sticking to it, resilience equals marathon, staying strong in times of challenge, bouncing back, sun. Oh, those are some nice ones, actually. Someone says, I see my mom's hands. Wow, that's beautiful. All right. I think that's a pretty good list right there. Shanti, let me turn it over to you to get us started from here.
Great, thank you. And, right now, as John and I were talking beforehand, resilience I think it's so important no matter what our situation, and definitely right now in this COVID situation, it's even more important because we no longer have that clear view of that path to go on, right? Everything is still uncertain. We're not sure where things are going to land. And if you look back a few months ago, 2, 3, 4 months ago, when we were going through our individual challenges, we had sort of an idea of a clear path, right? So if we're getting divorced, if we're changing jobs, changing locations, whatever it might be, we can tap into other people's experiences for that, even maybe some of our own experiences, and identify, okay, what are some of the steps that need to be taken? Even is supporting ourselves to calming our energies. But right now with this COVID situation, it seems that things are wobbly all over the place. So it's even more important, I feel, to come back to that level of resilience. So we're going to work with that today. So I'm going to invite you to sit nice and comfortable in your chair or whatever you're sitting on, your cushion, your sofa, whatever it might be. If you'd like to close your eyes, you can do that. It's not necessary though. Simply create a soft gaze looking downward. And I really love to bring my hand to my heart. I find that the heart energy really helps our whole body, our whole essence to come back to what's important. And resiliency is about what is important and what is that inner strength that I have. So if that feels right for you, you can do that. And without changing your breath, just begin to notice the breath. Notice the energy of the breath that's coming in and out of your body, that's nourishing your energy physically, in your awareness, your presence. And as you breathe, relax the belly a little bit so that the breath can come further down into the base of the lungs. And allow the shoulders to relax as well. This is where we carry the weight of the world. We can let that go right now. You can allow your jaw to relax, your eyes, your face. And in this moment, notice yourself sitting here. Notice your presence of being. And I'll invite you now to start breathing a little bit deeper and slower. And bringing the focus of your attention again to your heart center as you breathe deeper and slower than usual. And you might imagine that the breath is coming into the core, into the center of who you are. And we include in that the heart center. If you were to point to yourself, you would point to your heart, not your head or any other place. So we can breathe deeper and slower with the awareness of the heart center, with the core of our being. And now begin to tap into the energy that resilience brings up for you. It could be that inner strength. It could be the bouncing back. Confidence that no matter the situation, you'll be able to figure it out. You'll be okay. Resilience can awaken courage and confidence. It's at the core of who we are. So as you continue to breathe deeper and slower into the heart center, connecting to the energies of resilience. And imagining that every breath you take is fueling the fire of that resilience. It's strengthening the core. While the world around you continues to change, remains uncertain, practicing connection to your resiliency and this inner strength that you have helps to stay stable and strong, to stay connected with your wisdom and the profound relationship that the heart can bring. Staying connected with the feeling sense, allowing that to embody who are you when you're at your most resilient. What do you do with your body? How do you act? How do you see the world and integrate with that? And what do you do to support your resilience? To keep your strength up, to be able to bounce back. And tapping into that inner wisdom, that inner strength, your kindness, your compassion, your willingness to do what is needed, the trust that you have in yourself. The connection to your core. And fully noticing, feeling, touching, connecting to resilience and how it appears for you, the energy of it, the shape, the color, the images, the feeling sense. And knowing that as your days continue and uncertainty might remain, there's always room to come back to the feeling sense of resiliency so you can be with what's true for you. So you can do what's needed for you. So you can love and honor your life. And regaining connection with the breath in your body. Noticing the next 3 breaths. And taking your time to return your awareness to the space. Opening your eyes if they've been closed. Refocusing your gaze if they've been open. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Shanti. So to lead us into the next section here, I want to say that a few days ago, we received a lovely message all the way from Ann Arbor, Michigan. And the person wrote, "I've been attending the coffee house and really enjoying the practice. I've meditated from time to time in the past, and I'm finding a lot of peace and happiness from joining the community practice on Tuesdays and Fridays. I particularly loved the focus on resilience and want to dig further into developing that quality within myself." The person goes on to say, "Do you have a sense of how long these sessions will continue? Being a part of a live practice provides me with grounding and energy." First of all, thank you so much for these words. It's worth mentioning that when I was living in Chicago, all the coolest people I knew had come down from Michigan. Now, I want to assure you that we're going to keep the coffee house going for as long as it's useful to people. So please tell your friends, your family, your colleagues, the guy who does your taxes, the woman who sharpens your knives, and anyone else who will listen about what it is we're doing here. Secondly, this message is definitely making us want to dig a little bit more into resilience, which is what we're doing today. I wrote a small piece about resilience for the Mind the Moment Facebook page, which will be up for reading later today, probably. The gist of it is that when I find myself resisting the tendency to be resilient, I think about my 2-year-old nephew, Henry. He's my hero for his ability to bounce back from setbacks, like when he spends all afternoon building a fortress out of magnetiles and then accidentally knocks it over by sneezing on it. Instead of freaking out, he picks up the pieces and builds something new out of them. I compare the skill to the way the best figure skaters are able not only to twist through the air, but also to nail the landing. Some people, like my nephew Henry, seem to naturally have the aptitude for twisting out of the grasp of challenges in order to gracefully glide into the next thing, while some of us, like myself, need to rely on our mindfulness practices to make that possible. I also reflect a bit on the fact that as we get older, the challenges we face are less likely to be unstable magnetile castles, and instead more subtle things like unskillful mind states. So Shanti, I'm wondering if you can share some thoughts with us on how we can build resilience in practical ways using our mindfulness practice in any ways that you might want to offer.
Yeah, again, I think resilience is so important. It's really looking at the tough times that we're going through and how we've navigated through those. That's really important. So often we can just go from one thing to the other and not take that reflective time to say, hey, what did I learn here? What did I do skillfully? Even when things felt really ugly and wobbly and whatever else, there's something in there that we did that was skillful. And then even reimagining, we know the neuroscience, when we can reimagine scenes that didn't go as well as we wanted, we're actually now dropping into different memories that we can pull in later when we meet some of those same situations or similar situations. So that's another way that we can work with some of the challenges that we've had, and how can we make good use for that. I also think it's really important to stay connected to the heart. This is just, whenever we go to the heart, we get the messages that we need. There's less confusion. We might not always like our situation and what's happening for us, but there's this grounding place of, it's okay, I'm okay. I'm going to be able to handle this or figure this thing out.
Yeah. And I guess wanted to make sure that folks feel invited to ask questions. And actually, we'll get back to resilience, but I do see a question that came in, and so I did not want to let this one slip by. The person asks, relaxing the belly and stomach has helped his breathing. He says, a little hard to exhale than inhale, however. Is that normal? That's interesting. Any thoughts on that?
I think, working with the relaxation in the belly and even up into the rib cage or in the back can help with that. Usually I find that it can be the opposite, where it's harder to bring that breath in. So this may indicate that there's some tightening in the belly, or that holding on to things. So we can even use that as our practice, right? Really anything that we have in our life, we can use as practice. So the practice is to exhale and relax. What does that feel like? What's the feeling sense there?
And I think what can be so interesting too is, sometimes we find it's easier to pay attention to the breath on the inhale, but somehow we lose it on the exhale, which I think is just, reminds us at how important it is to train our attention when it can be slip away so easily like that.
Yeah, it gets lost in the body. Where did it go? Come back.
So, Shanti, to turn us back to resilience for a moment. I'm wondering if you would care to share any personal things in your own life, those moments when you felt like the practice really did speak to you in terms of helping make you more resilient and less resistant, as it were.
Yeah, I mean, it's really easy to look back at how I used to be, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years ago, and how I respond now instead of that reaction. I've had some situations of late, though. My mother, with this COVID situation, my mother she was sick. She's fine. She's doing well right now, but she was in the hospital. Then she was in rehab, and then she ended up breaking her arm. And, one thing tends to lead to another. And there's such a challenge that comes over for you. You know, lots of worrying. You want to make sure that she's safe. You're wondering, is this the last step? You know, all of these things we can get really rambled up in not just our mind, but our whole energy, and then how we're attending to things. And I found that I was really able to step back and see the bigger picture, and what do we need to do, and how can we do this, and how can I take care of my father and everything that needs to be addressed, so that it's so immensely helpful
Yeah,
with
I like.
how we respond to things that
Mm.
normally might just really take us out of the loop.
Yes, yes, and I love how you're pointing out that how things accumulate, because sometimes the problems that we don't notice how things are building up, how, sort of behind us. It's like we're already halfway rolling down the hill before we realize that we're spinning that way. And I think what's so wonderful about mindfulness practice is it does sort of remind you that you can reach out your hand and grab onto, you know, that branch that will maybe stop your momentum a little bit. And sometimes maybe the first branch will slip out of your hands, but then you can, you know, grab the second one, and that might be more helpful. Well, this has been wonderful, Shanti. I think I'm going to sort of move us into the second, or the ending part, because I do have something kind of special I want to mention to people. And we mentioned this in an earlier episode as well, that we are very pleased to be able to offer in just a few weeks from now our very first free public and virtual workshop introducing the basic principles and practices of mindfulness. Our master mindfulness instructor, Tara Healy, will be talking about what mindfulness is, what mindfulness isn't, what meditation has to do with it, how to start, and where to go from there. Plus, we'll have plenty of time for Q&A as well. So we're offering 2 sessions featuring the same material in hopes of making attending as easy and convenient as possible for folks. Tuesday, June 9th, 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Time, and then Wednesday, June 10th, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Now, no registration is required. All are welcome. The links can be found at harvardpilgrim.org/livingwellatHome. And while you're there, please check out the other free public and virtual workshops we are offering, which include yoga classes, Zumba classes, weight management and nutrition classes, and more. Now, for our own part, we will be back with you every Tuesday and Friday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. You can find the links to these sessions and other resources at our main site at harvardpilgrim.org/mindfulness. Please do keep those questions and comments coming by emailing us at any time at askmtm@harvardpilgrim.org, or leave a comment on our Facebook page. Let us know what's on your mind. Let us know what questions you have for our experts. You can also leave us a voicemail at my desk number, which is 617-509-7047. You can rewatch this session and older sessions on our YouTube page, and find guided meditations on our SoundCloud page. Now, Shanti, as we are ending, I'm wondering if you could leave us with one resource that you think people might find especially useful as they continue to grow their practice at this time or at any time.
You know, I'm going to stick with my theme of the heart today. I think it's just so important. Anytime we can come back to here, it automatically, come right here, right? This is our home. It's our beautiful home.
It's fantastic. Thank you for that. And just right before we close, somebody is asking the chat, can we share these sessions with other people who don't have Harvard Pilgrim Health Care insurance? And the answer is absolutely yes. Please do. We would love that if you would. So thank you, Shanti, for coming and minding the moment with us this morning.
Thank you, John.
Thank you to everyone else for joining as well. We will see you soon, and have a momentous day. Bye, everyone.